Welcome to Haxby Shed. If you follow my channel, you know that I recently got an EV, a Volkswagen e-up. I've got a Give Energy home battery and solar. And I've just bought an EV charger. Now you might think, what is there to say about an EV charger, right? Somebody screws it on the wall, connects it up, you plug it in, you charge your car. Nothing else to say. Not actually true. There's quite a lot to say. So if you're thinking about getting an EV charger, the first question might be, do you have enough power to the house, given all the other things that you've got? Do you have enough of a cable down to your garage, if that's where you've got it? All of those things come into play. Now, when your electrician comes to give you the quote to do the installation, they'll check the house fuse. Here, it'll be 60, 80 or 100 amps. They'll look at what other loads you've got in the house. All those things you take into account. You add this car charger, which would draw 32 amps. If it's a 7.2, is it? 7.4 kilowatt charger, that's like adding another shower. But it's like adding a shower which could be on for 5 or 6 hours a day. So taking all that into account, and then if your charger's remote from your house and it's on some cable down to your garage or somewhere, they've got to look at that cable to see if it's got enough capacity given this charger and maybe what else you've got down there, if you had a tumble dryer there or something like that. So then they might have to reconfigure things. So I just had this installed. It's cost me £1,700. Now in the UK typically you'd pay £800 to £1,200 for an EV charger supply and install. But when they looked at it, I needed a little bit done in the house. My cable down here is quite sufficient, but I've got a consumer unit in the building just over there. That had to be rearranged and reconfigured, and I needed a new consumer unit in this side, in the building just there, because I didn't have enough slots. So to have an EV charger installed, you need up to 3 slots on your consumer units spare. So I didn't have a surge protection device, so that needs one for the SPD and 1 slot for the circuit breaker for the SPD, and then you need a circuit breaker for this. I didn't have 3 slots. This is Give Energy. The warranty that Give Energy provides excludes surges. So it's important to have the SPD. They're not mandatory, they're advised. Your electrician's supposed to talk to you about it, but actually I didn't have one. Even for the inverter, there was not one installed. So I've had one put in on the other side where the inverter is, and one on here. So that's why it cost me £1,700. Now I could have managed quite easily with the granny charger, as they call it, 2.3 kilowatt charger plugged in to an, oh, some geese going over, plugged into an electrical socket. I don't do many miles in the EV or any car, truthfully. I could have managed, but I wanted one now. Will it pay for itself? Actually, it will, because having one of these enables me to get onto a much cheaper tariff. So I'll probably move on to Intelligent Octopus Go. So when the electrician's done the assessment of your power needs and power infrastructure, it might lead you towards certain chargers and not others. So you probably already know, if you get solar and inverter, you have something on the incoming supply to your house called a CT clamp, and that measures the amount of current that's being drawn by your house. And it's the same with these. So some of them have 1 CT clamp, some of them have 2. So the main CT clamp would come onto your incoming supply to your house as a whole, but if you've got a cable down to a garage or something like that that's got a restriction on it, you'd put a second CT clamp on that, and that would cause this thing to throttle back, because it's like having an extra electric shower, but you could have it on for 5 or 6 hours a day. So the CT clamp monitors the current, and this thing might throttle back. You know, you turn on your tumble dryer, you turn on other things at the same time. It may do. So it may be you end up with a choice where you either have to upgrade the cable to your garage or outbuildings, or you get a charger with 2 CT clamps. Now, because this is from Give Energy and I have a Give Energy inverter, I don't need a new CT clamp or an additional CT clamp on my system, because this talks to the inverter and shares the one CT clamp I've already got. And my cable down to these outbuildings is plenty big enough to carry the current load for this and the other stuff I've got. So having already mentioned one reason to go for a Give Energy EV charger, a second one is this. If you have a home battery and an EV, if the two are not on the same ecosystem, let's say that, the charger and your inverter and battery, there's a good chance that when you plug the car in, it will drain your house battery. But having this on the same system as the inverter means through the app, I can choose either to drain the battery or not, to charge the car from excess solar or not, to charge it just from the grid, the car talking about from the grid or not, a hybrid of the two. All these things I can configure this in, so many different ways, because the inverter and the charger are on the same ecosystem. So there's the two reasons. Same ecosystem, full flexibility, and not needing an additional CT clamp. Two reasons to go for this, for me. So how is this toy going to pay for itself? Well, I can move on to an EV tariff. At the moment we're on economy 7, that's 12p per kilowatt hour for 7 hours a night, which, trust me, is the best tariff for us at the moment. But if I move on to Intelligent Octopus Go, then I'll get 6 hours a night at 7p per kilowatt hour, so going from 12p to 7p. Now the house, before I got the battery, was consuming 4,000 kilowatt hours in the day over the space of a year. Since I've got the battery, I'm only consuming 330 kilowatt hours during the year, during the day. So that has moved nearly all of our load till the night time. So I'm covering about 3,700 kilowatt hours on load at night at 12p per kilowatt hour. Moving that to 7p per kilowatt hour will give us a saving of 250 pounds per year. So after a few years, this will have paid for itself. Now with this amazing graphic, I'll explain how your energy retailer can control the charging in half-hour slots. So here's my Volkswagen, the charger, this thing. Octopus's data center. They want to control the charge. They can do it this way through the charger supplier's data center. So Octopus sends a message saying start charging. This route over the internet controls the charger, and then stop charging. Alternatively, if this charger doesn't have automation like that, which the Give Energy one does not, it's not the physical charger, it's that this infrastructure isn't there just now, you can go this route. So Octopus instructs the VW data center in this case, and over the air they instruct the car, stop charging, start charging. You tell Octopus through the app, the Octopus app, when you want to leave. So for example, you start your commute every morning at 7 o'clock. Octopus will decide when to charge the car. They'll have so many hours available to do it, and they will decide which half-hour slots to use at the cheap rate. And this minimises the cost of your charging in the daytime. In the night time, it's the fixed 6 hours. So, pros and cons. That connection is more reliable than this connection, because if your car is in somewhere that has a poor signal, you can get delays. So this thing, Octopus, says stop charging 11 o'clock, that's the end of the cheap rate, now we're going on to full rate tariff. Here's a problem, there's a delay. Because the cost of electricity at the cheap rate is less than a third of the cost at standard rate, a 15-minute delay could cost you an hour's worth of savings. So this is more reliable in this direction. But there's a problem which makes this route to sometimes better, because Volkswagen say for routine charging charge up to 80%. If you're going on a long journey, obviously 100%, but routinely it just is better for the battery, charge up to 80%. So there has to be a way of telling this to charge this only up to 80%. Now if it goes this route, that's absolutely easy to do, because the car tells Volkswagen what its charge state is, and the Octopus app includes a setting to set the charge rate, so that's fine. This way you don't have that, because that cable between the charger and the car protocol doesn't include the charge state. It has stop and start, it has how fast can it be charged, in other words capacity, but with AC charging it doesn't implement the option to know how full the car's battery is. Now on many cars you'll have a way to say charge my car immediately now to 80%, but I haven't found it yet on the up. I think I might be able to find something, but if I was going this route then I'd have to find that setting, or I wouldn't use that route. So there are many car manufacturers that don't support this, so if your car doesn't, your manufacturer doesn't, you'd want to go this route. I think in time Give Energy will implement this server. I'm sure it's going to come, but for Intelligent Octopus Go, when I get it, to start with I will go this route here, and that'll be fine. I'll just live with this kind of potential flakiness there. This thing about switching on and off charging, it's more relevant when you get unplanned for us, slots in the daytime. They just pop up and suddenly the car starts charging. So you get home at 5, you're not expecting it to charge until 11:30 at night when it starts the cheap period, but Octopus have some spare capacity, so they just set the thing charging at 6:30 and then off again at 7. You know, when it's flipping on and off like that, there's more chance of having a problem here, but at night time it's probably fine, because you're going to get up to 6 hours without any switching at all. Pros and cons, pros and cons. I haven't moved on to Intelligent Octopus Go yet, because I've only just got the charger and I want to learn how it works with the car. If I hit any problems, I want to know, which side it's on. When I do want to change, you can do it from the Octopus app. The house is already on Octopus because it suits me very well for my solar and battery. You step through on the app, it asks you what car, what charger. If they were both compatible, I imagine you can decide which route to take. In my case, I'll put in my Volkswagen details into the Octopus app. The accounts will be linked. After a short while, the tariff will change, and we'll see if I get the savings that I'm expecting. Now then, I need to say this, the annoying bit. If you want to use my link, which is in the description, to move to Octopus, that's great. You'll get 50 quid, I'll get 50 quid. And otherwise, I think I've probably covered everything I need to say. If you have any questions about this being the Give Energy charger or anything else, just pop it in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. Well, it's not the end. I've thought of a few things that I need to add. The first is a correction. So when I said that we'd moved 3,700 kilowatt hours from daytime to nighttime with the battery, I'd forgotten then that we got the solar panels at the same time, and they give us 2,000 kilowatt hours of generation to the house. So the amount that we moved to the night was only 1,700 kilowatt hours, and that would give us a saving of about £85 a year at the moment. So not as much as I said. But we still get 3,500 kilowatt hours of export from the solar panels, and we still get 15 pence per kilowatt hour revenue from export when we move to Octopus Intelligent Go, and that generates us about £525 of income from export every year. Not related to the EV charger at all. We were getting that anyway. I just say it for completeness. Next thing I wanted to say was, when you want an EV charger, you're supposed to get approval from your distribution network operator, your DNO. Around here that's Northern Power Grid. Now it should be a formality because with the modern EV chargers with a CT clamp, they're self-regulating. So probably it won't overload your circuit to the house, your supply to the house. So I think they're kind of okay with that, but they don't like looped supplies. So if you live in a semi-detached house, which is maybe a bit older, but even some of the modern ones, the supply cables comes to one of the pair of houses and then it might loop to the second. Well, they don't really like that. And if you live in a terrace, however many, sometimes the cable comes in, the main supply cable comes into the first house and then it loops to the next, to the next, to the next. And they don't like that either. Now I suppose they'd be okay if every house had a CT clamp with their EV charger, I suppose, maybe, I don't know. But you might find that your car doesn't charge as fast as you thought it would. Anyway, I'm just saying that's a point. So when you apply to the DNO, they might say your supply's looped, it needs to be unlooped. Who pays? I'm not sure. I don't want to guess, I don't know. And the other thing I want to say is, when I had my EV charger installed, it connects to the internet, but the question is how. It can connect via a physical Ethernet cable or it can connect on Wi-Fi. Now I was pretty clear, I wanted it connected by a physical cable because I've already explained on that diagram on the car side, the link between Volkswagen over the air to the car can be a bit flaky. Well, we all know on the other side, that's the charger side, that Wi-Fi can be a bit flaky and it's a bit marginal here. So I wanted it on a physical cable to take out that uncertainty, and I extended my Ethernet to give access to the installer, so they just needed to plug in. And the cable they use to connect the charger is what's called PV Ultra. Now this bird's nest here that I'm waving around, right? It looks a bit like steel wire armoured cable, but it's not armoured. But it's a really tough cable, and it's got earth, neutral, live. Better get the colours the right way around, eh? Because you'll be telling me. But it's also got this Ethernet cable in it, which has got 4 twisted pairs within it. Now I'll bring this forward to the camera, I hope it will focus. That's close enough, isn't it? So there you go. You're normally only using 2 pairs, I think it is, for the Ethernet, and the other 2 pairs could be used for power over Ethernet, which you don't need for your charger because it's powered anyway. So that takes out any uncertainty about flaky Wi-Fi signals. And the final point is that that Give Energy charger only has a connection for 1 CT clamp, not 2. That's it, we're done. Thanks for watching.